It is unique for a company in the motorcycle and scooter business to produce its own forgings, such as this twin-cylinder crankshaft, for example. Warm work? It certainly is. 1200 degrees centigrade. A veteran with over 35 years' service with the company, Bill Gardner, operates an upsetting machine. This operation on the upsetting machine is to form a head on the end of a steel bar. Some components are forged in this manner. For example, the scooter rear axle, which is so designed as to enable the scooter wheels to be quickly detachable and interchangeable. From an upsetting machine in the smithy to setting up in the machine shop. 1,001 machining operations go to the making of a motorcycle or scooter, and in one of the many machine shops, Ted Bonner. He set up a capstan lathe to produce rocker spindles. On this one machine, several operations of different types are performed. The turret going forward, completing the first operation, withdrawing, and turning to bring the next operating tool into action, and so on until the job is completed. Operation Crankcase Milling. This operation of milling one of the faces of the aluminium crankcase calls for accuracy and superfine finish. Fred Bennett operates a multi-spindle drill, drilling several holes simultaneously in a crankcase half, followed by a tapping operation, forming an internal thread into which a bolt or stud will be screwed. From production to inspection, the very, very important job of checking finished components for quality of workmanship, surface finish, hardness, and dimensional accuracy. Go and not go gauges. The part being checked must pass the first gauge, but not pass the second. And the difference between them is often not more than 0.005 of an inch. A roller bearing big end, as fitted to the engines in machines used by the Automobile Association, is assembled from parts graded to 0.001 of an inch. The crank pin is clocked for accuracy, and this accuracy can be gauged by the movement of the indicator needle, which in this case scarcely moves. The rollers, which have already been selected, are now fitted in the cage. The bearing fitted into the big end. And the whole conrod assembly swung to make sure that it's absolutely free and without shake. Inspecting and checking, checking and inspecting, a task frequently entrusted to women because they're usually more suited to this particular job than men. A highly sensitive Solex gauge is used to check cylinder bores. Observe the slight movement of the yellow fluid. A maximum tolerance of 6/10,000ths of an inch is permitted between the letters A and B, and the cylinders are graded high, medium, or low limit. On the assembly benches, the engines begin to take shape, starting with the big end of the connecting rod being fitted onto the crankshaft. Conrods of the plain bearing type are being fitted to twin-cylinder crankshafts by George Swain. The big end bolts are tightened to a predetermined pressure by a special torque wrench to avoid distortion of the threads or of the bearing itself. The main bearings are now fitted. And knowing just how gently to use that hammer is a skill only acquired by many years of experience. At this point, the two halves of the crankcase meet. Special self-releasing clamps are used to insert the pistons into the cylinders without damage to the rings. The cylinder head is fitted and the fixing nuts or bolts are tightened in a sequence that ensures uniform pressure. All twin-cylinder engines undergo the gas test. Each engine is mounted in a cradle, exhaust pipes connected, sparking plugs screwed home, and a special nozzle attached to the inlet ports to supply domestic gas, just like you burn in the gas cooker or gas fire at home, on which they get a preliminary run-in. This handlebar, known as the Western type, is popular with riders in the USA and is fitted to the machine with the forks, front wheel, and so on one of several constantly moving assembly tracks. Frames with engines, gearboxes and rear suspension already fitted are loaded onto the track, and a completely assembled machine comes off the track every 3 or 4 minutes, depending upon the model. This machine is one of a number for the Automobile Association, as you can tell by the yellow petrol tank. To facilitate production, separate tracks are used for Bantams and for the famous Gold Star models, while of course the scooters, 250 twin and 175 two-stroke, are assembled on their own track. After inspection, a specification check is carried out by Edgar Dumbledon. Over to the testers for some laps of the test track, which encircles the sports ground. Bantams, 250 and 350 stars, Gold Stars, Shooting Stars, Golden Flashes, Super Rockets and BSA Sunbeam scooters are all thoroughly tried out by expert testers. Before dispatch to home or export markets, every machine covers its first few miles on this track, which includes a 1 in 4 test hill. After road test, any necessary rectifications are carried out. The machines are cleaned and polished. And color transfers applied to the Bantam. And a 500 flash destined for America. In the dispatch department, girls skillfully wrap machines for the home market. That's a dandy light scooter. Deliveries in Britain are made by special double-decked vans with a lift platform at the rear for ease of loading and unloading. Machines for export are wheeled into one of the special packing bays where they're partly dismantled to facilitate packing into stout cases. Only one machine at a time is allowed into each bay. The handlebar, front forks, front wheel, dual seat, stand, footrests and silencer are removed, wrapped and packed in the case with the rest of the machine. The inspector makes his final check, and afterwards the bay is thoroughly inspected to make absolutely sure that no part has been left out of the case. A stacker truck speeds removal of the cases to a loading bay, ready for transport to a lorry en route for ports at Liverpool, Birkenhead, Manchester, London, Bristol, Hull or Southampton. And the machines are on their way to destinations all over the world. Now, over to the service and spare parts departments, a most important section of the factory organization. George Powis knows just where to find any part in the stores as he assembles an order on the constantly moving conveyor track. Up to 100,000 parts are handled here every day to keep on the road machines up to 20 years old. George Morgan carefully packs a wheel for a post office bantam. Very many parts, from nuts and bolts to a pair of fork legs, are now protected by being sealed in polythene bags. Over 1,000 orders are fulfilled every day, while 200 cases, mostly for export, and 2,000 cartons are packed and dispatched every week. In the repairs section, and concentrating on truing a pair of flywheels, a highly skilled job, is Harold Batch. Walter Williams is busy fitting reconditioned fork legs. Now it's back to school, the service school for dealers and their mechanics who get expert instruction on servicing and maintenance. Engines are stripped and rebuilt, using the special service tools which are available for dealers to use in their own repair workshops. Classes are held regularly, small in number, so that individual attention can be given by the instructors. Mechanics attend from all over Britain and from many countries overseas. From the service school to the public service. Many thousands of BSA motorcycles are in use in public service all over the world. In Britain, smart post office messenger boys deliver telegrams by red enameled bantams. Lucky lads. Probably there are more bantams running about all over the world than any other motorcycle, and they're used for many purposes besides touring. In Australia, for example, farmers use them for rounding up sheep. Many police forces use BSAs. Burma, Uganda, Southern Rhodesia, all states of Australia. Monaco, the Paris Gendarmerie, South Africa, Norway, British Guiana, Ecuador, Colombia, Hong Kong and Venezuela, to name but a few. This is a Birmingham bobby on his radio-equipped Golden Flash. The Birmingham police have been using Golden Flashes for many years, and more police machines are now being fitted with two-way radio. The golden yellow of the AA patrolman is a familiar sight on the roads of Britain. 1,700 patrols travel nearly 30 million miles a year and average over 50,000 miles between overhauls. The green light gives the go-ahead for a pleasant tour through some of Warwickshire's leafy lanes by Golden Flash and 250 Star. Henley in Arden, once the centre of the great forest of Arden, and boasting 14 good old English pubs in its one main street. A few miles from Stratford, in the village of Wilmcote, is Mary Arden's house. Mary Arden was Shakespeare's mother. The famous playwright was born in Stratford in 1564. Stratford-upon-Avon Church, where Shakespeare lies buried. And Anne Hathaway's cottage at Shottery. She was the girl who married the Bard of Avon. The banks of the River Avon form a perfect setting for a picnic, with the Shakespeare Memorial Theatre in the background. The girl on the scooter joins the party to complete our picture of the best of everything.